3 months ago, I watched a plumber charge someone $285 for something that took him 11 minutes. 11 minutes. I timed it. The fix? A $2 brown bottle sitting in that person's own medicine cabinet the entire time. They just didn't know it. And that same $2 bottle can solve 14 completely different problems around your house. Problems that right now are either costing you money slowly or building up to a repair bill you haven't seen coming yet. One of them, later in this video, can save you from a repair that runs into the thousands. I'm not telling you which one yet, because you need the small ones first to trust me on the big one. Here's the thing that actually got me interested in this in the first place. I started noticing the same pattern over and over, a service call, a repair, replacement, where the actual root cause, once you dug into it, was something bacterial or organic that a $2 bottle handles better than the $50 specialty product marketed to fix it. Not every time, but often enough that I started keeping a running list. 14 of them made the cut for tonight, and I'm going to walk through every single one. In the order that actually matters. Biggest financial risk first, small stuff later. Because your time's worth something too. Before we go any further, though, let's get something straight. Because I'm not going to sit here and sell you a miracle chemical. I went through old maintenance manuals, plumber advice, cleaning forums, and I actually tested which of these hold up and which ones are just internet myths dressed up as life hacks. So here's what this bottle cannot do. It won't dissolve a solid clog. It won't strip mineral scale off a shower head by itself. It won't repair a cracked pipe, and it does not replace a plumber when something's actually broken. If a video tells you hydrogen peroxide fixes literally everything in your house, that video's lying to you. This one isn't. What it does do, and does really well, is kill bacteria, break down organic buildup, and disinfect in a way that's cheaper and often gentler than what you're currently paying somebody else to do. One more thing before we start the list. Nothing here requires special tools, special training, or a trip to a specialty store. Every single fix uses the same plain 3% bottle you can grab at literally any pharmacy, grocery store, or gas station for about $2. Let's get into it. Number 1. The $300 toilet mistake. Before you spend $300 replacing a toilet because the bowl looks permanently stained, do one 10-second test first. Pour a cup of hydrogen peroxide straight into the bowl water. If that brown or orange ring starts visibly lifting within a few minutes, you don't have a toilet problem. You have a mineral and bacteria buildup problem, and that's fixable for $2, not $300. Let it sit 20 minutes, then run the brush around the water line once. In most cases, that ring lifts right off. The peroxide's breaking down the mineral crust and killing off the bacterial layer, holding it together. Do this monthly, and you'll likely keep that ring from building back up in the first place. Number 2, the $285 smelly drain. Remember that plumber call I opened with? This was it. If a drain you rarely use, laundry room floor drain, a guest bathroom sink, a basement drain, suddenly starts smelling like sewer gas, most people panic and assume it a real plumbing problem. Here's what most folks get wrong. They assume smell equals damage. In the majority of cases, it's just a dry trap. That curved pipe under every drain is designed to hold water at all times, specifically to block sewer gas. Stop using a drain for a while. That water evaporates and the seal opens up. Pour a cup of hydrogen peroxide down it. Follow with hot water to refill the trap. The peroxide kills the odor-causing bacteria on the pipe walls. The water reseals the trap, and that smell you were about to pay a plumber to diagnose is usually gone in minutes. Number 3. The washing machine mold nobody checks. That rubber gasket around a front-load washer's door traps moisture every single cycle, and inside its folds, where you genuinely cannot see, mold builds up over months. That mold slowly eats at the rubber, and once the seal fails, a lot of manufacturers don't sell that gasket separately, meaning you're looking at replacing the whole unit. Wipe the folds down monthly with a cloth dampened in hydrogen peroxide, and run an occasional empty hot cycle with a cup poured into the drum. 20 seconds of effort against what can become a repair bill running into several $100s. Quick correction here, because the internet gets this one wrong constantly. People say pouring vinegar into the drum does the same job. It helps with odor, sure, but vinegar alone doesn't reliably kill mold spores the way peroxide does. Different job, different tool. And here's a detail worth knowing so you're not chasing this forever. The mold isn't actually your washer's fault. It's a byproduct of low-temperature washing and always closed doors, both of which are great for saving energy and terrible for keeping that gasket dry between loads. Leaving the door cracked open after each load for an hour or two before you close it back up cuts down on how often you even need to do this fix in the first place. Number 4, stains you already gave up on. Every house has that one shirt or cushion with a stain everybody just accepted as permanent. Pour hydrogen peroxide directly onto it. Let fizz for 10 minutes, then blot, don't scrub, with a clean cloth. That fizzing is oxygen breaking the stain down at a molecular level, and it tends to work especially well on protein-based stains like blood and grass, and surprisingly often on red wine too. One honest warning: test a hidden corner first on colored fabric, since it can lighten some dyes. On anything white or light, you're generally safe to just go for it. Worth knowing why blotting matters so much here, and not just scrubbing. Scrubbing pushes a stain deeper into fibers and spreads it wider across the fabric, while blotting lifts it straight up and out. It's a small habit difference, but it's the reason two people can use the exact same bottle on the exact same stain and get completely different results. Number 5, the cutting board bacteria you can't see. Knife scratches on any cutting board, wood or plastic, create tiny grooves that trap bacteria in a way plain soap and water often can't fully reach. After a normal wash, pour hydrogen peroxide over the surface. Let sit 5 minutes, then rinse. Especially worth doing right after cutting raw meat or chicken. It's the difference between a board that looks clean and one that actually is. Here's a myth worth killing while we're on this topic. A lot of people believe a quick vinegar rinse is just as good as a real disinfectant here. For general odor, sure. For actually killing bacteria in those deep scratches, it's not in the same league. Number 6, cloudy glass where your dishwasher keeps ruining. If your glasses come out with a permanent haze, no matter which detergent you switch to, that's usually hard water etching layer with detergent residue building up over time, not a dishwasher malfunction, which is what most people assume first. Soak the glasses in a mix of hydrogen peroxide and warm water for about 15 minutes before a normal wash. It breaks down that film in a way regular dish soap generally can't touch on its own. Number 7, the houseplant you're 1 week from throwing out. If soil starts smelling swampy after overwatering, that's root rot, caused by bacteria that thrive specifically in oxygen-starved, waterlogged soil. Mix 1 part hydrogen peroxide with 2 parts water, and use that in place of plain water for the next couple waterings. As it breaks down, it releases oxygen right at the root zone, which works against exactly the kind of bacteria causing the rot. It won't save every plant that's too far gone, but for early-stage root rot, it's often the difference between saving it and starting over. Quick myth bust while we're here, because this one costs people money on the regular. A lot of plant forums will tell you to repot immediately the second you smell something off, tearing the whole root ball apart and buying fresh soil. Sometimes that's necessary, but if you catch it early, disturbing the roots that aggressively can actually do more damage than the rot itself is going to. Try the peroxide route first on anything caught early. Save the full repot for when the smells already deep in the roots are visibly mushy. Number 8, the sponge you keep replacing every week. A used kitchen sponge sits damp, warm, and full of food particles, which is close to an ideal setup for bacteria. And that's exactly why sponges start smelling sour within days no matter how much soap runs through them. Soak it in a bowl of hydrogen peroxide and water for 10 minutes. Wring it out. Let it air dry. That smell isn't just getting masked. The source is actually getting killed off, which can stretch one sponge's usable life noticeably longer. Number 9, mold creeping into your bathroom grout. Grout is porous. So once mold gets into those lines between tiles, most bathroom sprays just wipe the surface color while the mold sits underneath, waiting to come right back within a week, which is exactly why people end up re-cleaning the same grout line over and over. Spray hydrogen peroxide directly onto the grout. Give a full 10 minutes to actually soak in, then scrub with an old toothbrush and rinse. It targets the mold itself rather than just bleaching out the visible color, which is a mistake most people make reaching for a straight bleach spray instead. Catch it early enough with this, and you can often avoid a red droughting job that runs into the hundreds. Number 10, the humidifier basically misting bacteria into your room. Anything holding standing water and running for hours, a humidifier, a diffuser, even a little desktop fountain, builds a slimy bacterial film inside within a couple weeks, and most people never think to check because the water still looks clear. Run a mix of hydrogen peroxide and water through the tank. Let it sit 15 minutes. Rinse thoroughly a couple times before refilling, beyond the obvious air quality benefit. It also helps prevent mineral crust from building up on internal parts that eventually burn out the motor. Here's a distinction worth making, because manufacturers rarely explain it clearly. White residue on a humidifier is usually mineral scale from hard water, not bacterial buildup, and peroxide generally isn't the right tool for that part of the problem. If you're seeing white crust specifically, that calls for a vinegar or citric acid soak instead. If you're seeing slime or smelling something musty, that's the bacterial side, and that's where peroxide earns its spot. Different residue, different fix. Mixing them up is exactly how people end up disappointed with a method that actually works fine for the right problem. Number 11, kids and pets' toys that end up in mouths. Anything plastic that regularly ends up in a toddler's or a dog's mouth picks up bacteria fast. A wipe down or short soak in diluted hydrogen peroxide, rinse with clean water after, can help reduce germs for most everyday household use, generally without leaving behind the lingering chemical smell that bleach tends to. Number 12, the toothbrush cup nobody in the house has ever cleaned. That little cup your toothbrushes sit and stays wet basically forever and never crosses anybody's mind to clean. Same story for the base of a razor. Sitting in a damp shower. A quick weekly wipe or soak handles what's built up there. Takes 15 seconds, and it's one of those spots you only notice once you actually look closely. Number 13, the shower drain hair clog before it becomes a real one. If your shower's draining a little slower than it used to but isn't fully clogged yet, pour hydrogen peroxide down it and let it sit before running hot water through. It helps break down the organic buildup. Soap scum and the biofilm hair clumps it inside before it compacts into a full blockage that actually needs a plumber or a drain snake. Worth being clear here. This is a maintenance move for early slow drainage, not a fix for a drain that's already fully blocked. If water's not moving at all, this isn't your tool anymore. The shoe smell nobody wants to talk about. Sweat-soaked shoes and the bacteria living in them are the actual source of that smell, not the shoe material itself, which is why spray deodorizers only ever mask it for a few hours. Mix a small amount of hydrogen peroxide with water in a spray bottle. Lightly mist inside of the shoe. Don't soak it. And let it air dry completely before wearing again. It knocks down the bacteria causing the odor at the source instead of just perfuming over it. Skip this one on suede or leather without testing a hidden spot first, since moisture and some leather finishes don't get along. The pet accident stain and smell your carpet cleaner never fully gets out. Regular carpet cleaner often lifts the visible stain but leaves enough bacteria behind that the smell creeps back, especially once the carpet gets warm or humid again. Blot up as much of the accident as you can first. Then apply a diluted hydrogen peroxide mixed directly to the spot. Let it sit about 10 minutes. And blot again with a clean cloth. Same rule as the fabric stain fix earlier. Test an inconspicuous corner of the carpet first, since it can lighten some dyes over repeated use. And number 14, the one I saved for last, because it's not a fix. It's the warning that protects everything else on this list. If you're on a septic system, here's something you need to hear before you get inspired and start pouring hydrogen peroxide down every drain in the house. Your septic tank runs on a colony of anaerobic bacteria that breaks down waste for you, around the clock, for free. That colony is the entire system, and hydrogen peroxide is, at its core, a disinfectant. Its whole job is killing bacteria. Pour it down your drains regularly, especially in any real quantity, and you're not helping that tank. You're attacking the exact bacteria, keeping it running. This is where a lot of household hack content gets it backwards. Mine included until I actually dug into this properly. A one-off cup down a rarely used drain to kill a sewer gas smell, like tip number 2, is a tiny occasional, diluted amount reaching a trap, not the tank itself. That's not the same thing as treating the tank. But monthly dosing straight into a toilet as a septic maintenance routine, that's a habit that can quietly work against you. disrupt the bacterial balance your system depends on, and in the worst cases push you toward the exact expensive failure you were trying to avoid. If your septic tank needs pumping, it needs pumping. There's no $2 bottle shortcut around that. If you're on septic and want to actually help the tank between pumpings, that's a conversation for your septic company, not a job for the bottle in your medicine cabinet. If you remember only one thing from this whole video, remember this. Hydrogen peroxide isn't a universal cleaner, and it isn't a universal fix either. It works best when you actually understand what you're trying to kill or break down. A stain, a pipe trap, a mold spot, and it can just as easily work against you the moment you point at something it was never meant to touch, like a living bacterial system your house depends on. Real quick, the actual science, because it explains why some of this works and some of it won't. Hydrogen peroxide is water with one extra oxygen atom tacked on. That extra atom is unstable, and when it breaks apart, it releases oxygen. That's a fizzing you see on a cut, on a stain, on a grout line. That released oxygen is what damages bacterial cell walls and breaks down organic material. It's genuinely effective against living things and organic buildup. It is not a solvent, and it's not going to physically dissolve mineral deposits or plastic clogs away in acid or mechanical snake wood. That's also exactly why it's worth explaining what's happening when a bottle goes flat. The reaction that makes peroxide useful is the same reaction that eventually uses it up, even sitting untouched in your cabinet. Light and heat speed that breakdown along, which is a whole reason it's sold in a dark brown bottle in the first place. Clear packaging would let light degrade on the shelf before you even bought it. And that fizzing reaction you keep seeing throughout this whole video isn't just for show. It's actually the clearest sign the bottle is still doing its job. No fizz, no reaction, no point using it. Real quick, a few things people ask me about this constantly. So let's knock them out. Does it work on white vinegar's job too? Like removing hard water spots? Not really. That's a mineral problem, and peroxide is a bacteria and organic matter problem. So grab vinegar or citric acid for pure mineral scale instead. Is the store brand version just as good as the name brand bottle? Yes. 3% is 3%. There's no meaningful difference in the active ingredient between a $2 generic bottle and a name brand one that costs more. Can you use it on stainless steel? Generally, yes, for disinfecting, though it can leave a slightly duller finish with repeated heavy use. So wipe it off rather than letting it air dry on visible surfaces. And does diluting it with more water make it safer without losing effectiveness? For most of what's on this list, yes, a diluted mix still handles bacteria and organic buildup fine. It's really only the concentrated straight from the bottle application, where you need to be more careful with fabric and skin contact. Now, safety, because this part actually matters. Stick with regular 3% hydrogen peroxide, the standard brown bottle from any pharmacy. There's a food-grade version at 35% that can burn skin and is dangerous if inhaled or swallowed. That's not a household product. Don't confuse the two. Never mix it with vinegar in the same container. Use one after another on a surface is fine. Combined together, they form a harsh acid that irritates skin and lungs. Never mix it with bleach. That reaction is genuinely dangerous. Store the bottle somewhere cool and dark. Since heat and light break it down even though it still looks completely fine sitting in the bottle. Quick check. If it doesn't fizz when poured onto a surface, it's gone flat, and it's time to replace it. And for anything that an actual emergency, a major leak, a full sewer backup, a cracked pipe, none of this replaces calling a real licensed plumber. Everything here is for prevention and small maintenance, not for taking on a disaster solo. So here's your mission for this weekend. Spend somewhere between $2 and $10 and check exactly 3 places in your house. Check your washing machine gasket. Check one drain you haven't used in the last couple weeks. And check your toilet's water line. 3 tests, 15 minutes total, and you'll immediately know which of tonight's 14 fixes your house actually needs first. Grab one bottle from a pharmacy on your way home, not a case of them. You genuinely don't need more than one to start, and you'll know within a week which of these problems your specific house actually has. If this saved your phone call to somebody, subscribe, because there's a lot more of this coming. And tell me in the comments, what's the one household problem right now that's been bugging you the longest? I read every single one, and it might just end up being the next video. See you in the next one.